Have you ever noticed that when you're on a diet, all of a sudden the ice cream, cookies, chocolate, chips around you just seem to be so much more in your face than they were when you weren't trying to lose weight? Ever wonder why that is? I mean, there's pork, fish, turkey, chicken around us. We're not focused on that. The way I like to look at it is like when you're trying to buy a new car, the one that you've chosen, all of a sudden you see it everywhere around you. That's because you've decided you like it. And so everywhere it is, you notice it now. We like junk food. So everywhere it is, we notice it. When we're on a diet, we're supposed to be eating healthy food. So how come we're not noticing the healthy food? It's because, in fact, even though we're saying we're on a diet, even though we're saying we want to lose weight, we actually still want to eat that junk food. And by saying that I'm on a diet means I'm not eating the junk food. I want it even more. And now I see it everywhere, haunting me even more. That's why you clicked on this video, because you want to lose weight, but you want me to tell you that you can still eat junk food. You can still eat fast food. You want me to tell you that cheat meals are okay. And guess what? They are. That's right. You can actually eat whatever food you want. Junk food, fast food, any type of food you want on a keto diet. Are you surprised that I said that? You shouldn't be, because keto is not about what specific food you eat. Keto is about getting into a ketogenic state, getting into ketosis. And the only thing you need to do to get into ketosis is eat less than 20 grams of carbs every day. So in a 24-hour period, less than 20 grams of carbs. And I honestly believe that that is doable regardless of what you're eating. So let's talk about what it would actually look like to get your 20 grams of carbs from some different foods so that you could make a good decision for yourself about what you're planning to eat. I was actually quite surprised to learn that the average chocolate bar, whether you go for some kind of chunky, creamy something or just pure straight chocolate, averages out to about 60 grams of chocolate per 100-gram bar, which means that theoretically you could eat a third of a chocolate bar, or you could have 20 grapes. That comes out to be about 20 grams of carbs. Or you could have a 2-inch potato. That's about 20 grams of carbs. Maybe you'd rather have 75 grams of rice, 30 grams of pasta, or 1.5 slices of bread. All of those things are 20 grams of carbs. The kicker, though, is you can only have one of them each day. So you need to choose. And Wellness Warrior, I think that's the first thing I'm going to point out of why it's so difficult to do a keto diet while you're still eating fun food, junk food. Because that's a lot of carb in a very small package. And if I'm trying to have a satisfying day of eating and not feel hungry all the time, that's going to not be easy to do with these kind of foods. However, if you choose to eat broccoli, you can have about 6 cups of broccoli, which is about 550 grams. That's more than a pound. You could have 600 grams of cabbage. Again, more than a pound. You could have a lot of leafy greens. Like the amount of leafy greens that would make a salad for, in a typical household, 4 or 5 people, you could eat all of that by yourself. When you take healthy vegetables and allow those to be the mainstays of what you're eating, you get to eat quite a bit. So it becomes a bit more fun. Now you notice I didn't mention any starchy vegetables in there. I didn't mention any sweet tasting vegetables in there. They tend to be higher in carbohydrate. I would fall into that first category where you're going to get to have a little bit for the whole day versus this category where you can have lots of it. And there's lots of vegetables. I've named 3. There's so many vegetables. Another thing I want to point out is that when you're doing a keto lifestyle and you're trying to keep your carbohydrate low, the other thing that we could focus on is eating protein from animals. So that's things like steak, pork, I should say beef instead of steak, pork, turkey, fish, chicken, eggs, basically any animal protein, which I guess would also include cheese, you are able to have, and it's not going to have a huge impact on the carb intake for your day. What I'm trying to help you to see there is that, interestingly, on a keto diet, if you're trying to Do keto in a way that lets your body get into ketosis, which is the whole point of doing a keto diet. I know people say the reason to do keto is weight loss. I'm challenging that right now. The reason to do keto is to get your body into a ketogenic state so that you can be healthier, because a healthy body regulates its weight. When you will be healthy, your weight will go back to what it's supposed to be, the normal range. So if my goal is to get my body into a ketogenic state, and I want to have delicious, satisfying, satiating meals. Satiating means I eat until I'm not hungry anymore. Satisfying means I liked what I ate. I found it delicious. If that's the kind of meal I want to have, or meals, maybe you're doing more than one meal a day, then choosing vegetables that allow you to have that satisfying meal is going to be really important. I don't know what your vegetables are going to be. What I want you to think about is that if you don't understand how keto works, then you're not going to know how much food you can actually put on your plate. So even if I were to give you a list of all the okay foods, you're not going to know how much of those okay foods you could have. So if we just play the game a little bit, if I didn't tell you that you could only have a 2-inch potato and you had potatoes on your plate, chances are the average adult eats more than one 2-inch potato. You would likely have maybe a 4 or 5-inch potato or a bunch of 2-inch potatoes. So what that means is that you would have gone over your carb count just in the potatoes on your plate. Now, a lot of people don't just have potatoes. They might have rice, they might have carrots, So every one of those things is counting towards your carb count. You are risking eating too many carbs, which would then mean you would not get into a ketogenic state. When I know that carb count matters, then what that does for me is it allows me to start looking at the foods I'm eating slightly differently. Because when I'm presented with a food, I can pull out my carb calculator of choice, or I can go to Google and I can search carbs in name the food. And then that will tell me how much carb is in the food I'm eating, keeping in mind that carbohydrates and sugar are 2 words for the same thing. So I would then know how much sugar is in this meal, and I would then be able to make sure that I kept my carb count under 20. I actually do have a food list. It's a food list of foods that I like to eat. It's very short. And I absolutely could share this food list with you. The problem is, you're very likely not going to like the foods that I like. I can tell you that I've seen other food lists. Dr. Westman has a food list. Dr. Berg made a video talking about what foods you can and can't eat. And I'll tell you, on both of their lists, there's lots of foods on there I do not eat. What does that mean? It's fine if you like those vegetables, if you like those foods, because not all of them are vegetables. I don't like them. Many keto YouTube doctors talk about what you can and can't eat. And I'm trying to get you to see something. If I tell you what you can and can't eat, you are then going to say, Violet, I feel deprived. You're blocking me from, and I'm not going to tell you that. The truth is, you can eat hamburgers with the bun. Question is, how much would you be able to eat and stay in a ketogenic state in that day? Every time you get kicked out of ketosis, it takes 4 to 7 days to get back in. That's a long time. It's enough that one keto cheat on the weekend, if you're doing it every weekend, could mean that you're never actually in ketosis, could be the reason that you're struggling to lose weight. Keto doctors are making food lists and videos about what to eat because we are confused. But we're confused because we're not actually trying to understand what it is we're trying to accomplish with eating this keto diet. We're not trying to understand why this food, so potato, is less keto friendly than cabbage. And until we understand that, then we don't understand that they're both totally viable things we could eat. No problem with eating either one. But the amount of restriction you would be putting on yourself if you're eating potatoes is very different than the amount of abundance you get to eat when you're eating cabbage. And that then starts to feel hard for a lot of people. Now, I want you to think about something. Let's say you go on vacation and you're in a new country where they have different food. The food list now might not match anything in front of you. How would you figure it out? It doesn't matter where I am. What I know is that if I can name that food, so I'd ask the waiter, waitress, what is that? If I can name that food, I can figure out how much of it I can actually eat. if I will eat any of it at all. The same thing applies if I go to my friend's house and they're putting something in front of me that maybe I don't eat at home, that maybe it's not on the list. We're always in the possibility of being in front of a food that we now have to judge. Is it okay for me to try this or not? Add to that the fact that you still want those damn cookies and cakes. The solution here is that you need to decide that you're going to eat healthy and that your goal for yourself is health, not weight loss. See, when we want to lose weight, it's because we hate being fat. And that's a horrible goal to have for myself. I don't want to hate being fat as a goal for why I'm eating differently. But wanting to be healthy is a great reason to eat healthy foods. And if I want to be healthy and understand that eating healthy foods is going to give me the health that I'm looking for, all of a sudden, I start seeing healthy foods around me. I start seeing the healthy choices around me. They're in my eyes. And what happens to the cake and the cookies and the ice cream? Because they're not healthy, they start to fade into the background. I don't see them as much in my face because they're not even healthy choices. So when I do see them, it's like, okay, I don't want that. That actually became my thought process. That was what I was saying about health and warrior. I would see cookies or ice cream or cake, and I'd be like, no, that's garbage. A thought that I never would have had in my history. It would have been, cookies, chocolate. And I didn't have that thought anymore. It was gone because that's not healthy. That's what was happening in my head. And it will happen in your head because it happened because I decided healthy was what I wanted. You really need to want to be healthy to be able to see the healthy options in front of you. Do you want to be healthy? And if you do, please write it in the comments below. I want to see a bunch of Violet, I want to be healthy in the comments of this video. You have a decision to make. You could keep avoiding the junk food because I have to lose weight and put all this focus on negative and have these junk foods haunt you through your entire diet. Or you can decide that you're going to eat healthy to heal your body and allow your mind to guide you towards those healthy foods. If you need some assistance in eating healthy all the time, I have a video on the screen right there. Click on the link. I'm going to meet you over there.